Last week, EA flew me down to Orlando at EA Sports. I was able to play College Football 25 early, and now that they've dropped the gameplay deep dive and gameplay trailer, I can officially show you actual gameplay and then tell you my experience playing the game and some of the practical applications as we break down the gameplay deep dive and trailer. Let's go ahead and start with the trailer. This is my first time seeing the trailer, but I can tell you everything that I was tweeting on Twitter is 100% accurate to how I feel. We played the game for a few hours, myself and many other creators. The gameplay does not feel like Madden. It is not a reskin. It feels fun, fast, and explosive. It feels like the college game. The atmospheres obviously feel incredible. I'm sure you've heard about that. But let's go ahead and get into gameplay for the first time, and then we'll break down the actual deep dive blog, which is extensive. It is super, super long. Let's go ahead and start with Kirk Herbstreit here and the College Football 25 gameplay deep dive trailer.
Welcome to the official EA Sports College Football 25
people are talking about, I'm probably going to pause this a little bit, but people are talking about, oh, it's the, it's the animations from Madden, it's blah, blah, blah. It does run on the same engine, but you really, in my experience, you really can't tell. It feels like a football game because it is football, and certain football moves look similar. It's like, oh, this tackle's in Madden. That hesitation that Ollie Gordon pulled off there actually does look pretty new, the hezi into the spin. But it is football at the end of the day. Certain things will look similar because it is football. But I'm telling you, the gameplay, it feels incredible. It really is a ton of fun to play.
On the exciting new Campus
the pitch
IQ
game's going to be pretty important.
Set, which includes
new animations on the sideline.
Wear and tear system, player abilities,
wear and tear is very different than what I expected. I'll explain that more when we get to it. That's a new animation for sure, that hurdle. Don't see that in Madden, which they probably made a conscious effort of doing that.
Is a progressive player health system that prioritizes strategic substitutions and diverse play calling to keep your players healthy. With wear and tear,
so he might break it down even more, but here's the way this works. So when you're actually playing the game, this screen is your play call screen, right? So you have this in the top right that pops up. We go back here. So you have Phil Maffa here, Clemson running back. He has certain risks of injury, right? And it will apply to different parts of the body. So depending on where he's hit, how he's hit, he will have different decreases to abilities. So like if he gets rocked on a play, if he gets a huge hit stick on the right side of his body, his right arm might have a severe risk of injury, and he will have a debuff applied. -5 to change direction, or stiff arm in the case of an arm, right? Depending on where the injury happens, or where the big hit occurs, he's going to feel it. Some people might not like this. Didn't really get a ton of time on the game to see the real practical application of what the impact's going to be. But if you have a quarterback and you're just eating shots with him all game, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. Your quarterback's going to have -5 to 8 to throw power, minus throw accuracy. If he's been taking shots to the legs, change of direction is going to be down. Carrying could be down, by the way, as well. So you are going to have to take players out, shift and switch players in. It's just like the real college game. A lot of substitutions are made. Players actually feel hits. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to feel it's realistic. Some people are not. I want to see it, how it actually plays out when you're playing in your dynasties, but it will totally motivate you to add more depth to your dynasty teams and rotate guys in. You're not just going to be able to have a running back get 40 carries in a game very often and just totally dominate and be totally healthy and good to go every single snap. Now, there are some abilities that we'll talk about in a little bit that might help you do that, but we'll see.
And diverse play calling to keep your players healthy.
Pitch game, it is college football.
Every hit matters, but not all hits have the same impact.
Yeah, not all hits have the same impact.
Like a blow to a quarterback's throwing arm can change everything, just like it can in real life. Every hit scales differently and will have unique effects on a player's performance as damage and fatigue add up over the course of a game. Managing wear and tear is critical to your team's success, both in a single...
This is something I think I'm going to like this because it does feel a little bit more like managing an actual team. And if you're just eating shots with your quarterback, you know, it's not always just, okay, one injury knocks them out of the game. They might be able to tough it out and stay in the game, but they might not be able to play up to their actual top ability in every attribute. It's not everything gets decreased if they take one big shot, but you know, if he has 99 throw accuracy, it might go down to 95, depending on if he's been taking some hits and some big hits during the game.
Game and over the course of a season. In EA Sports College Football 25, we're introducing both mental and physical player abilities that help.
So you can get a max of 3 mental abilities and 5 physical abilities. That is the max. They have different tiers. It goes from silver, bronze, or actually bronze, silver, gold, all the way up to platinum. And it's no longer a guarantee. It's not like, okay, if you have the double me, superstar X Factor ability for Madden, you throw it up there, they have a 100% chance to come down with a catch unless they're double covered. I know they've changed that over the years, but it's not like that. You have a chance of it triggering. There's one called Downhill, and it scales differently. Again, we'll probably talk about that later. It's in the deep dive article. But if they get up to 80% of their max speed, they have a really high chance to break a tackle. So it's no longer, you know, a ton of different things where it's guaranteed. If they have, you know, some X factor, they'll break the first tackle guaranteed. It's not necessarily that, but I think these are going to be fun. I don't know how it's going to play online. I'm not really a huge online guy. We'll have to see.
Help separate highly skilled players,
but they have a lot. I think 80.
Freshmen. In contrast to the pros, where superstar talent is generally balanced across the league, the player abilities in college were designed to showcase the overall discrepancy in player and team skill levels. Physical abilities boost attributes.
New kick meter, by the way. We'll talk about this quickly. It's going pretty slow in the gameplay trailer. It's not pretty slow in the game, depending on kick accuracy and distance, right? So what happens with this is the ball here on the bottom will go back and forth. You want to aim for the green region, of course. And then on the right side, the further away from the middle you are, the worse accuracy you're going to have. And for the actual kick meter at the top here, you hold down the button when you've aimed this bottom football here. You hold it down, and then it'll fill all the way up. And you want to stop it as high as you can without getting into the red region. That's too much power, and you're going to get a debuff there. So the new kick meter actually feels a little bit challenging compared to what we've had. I'm sure you're going to be able to get used to it, but this is the new kick meter. It'll be a challenge for some of you, and me probably. I might be missing some big kicks. And if you've seen my Twitter over the years, what do college kickers do? They miss. You're going to be missing a little bit more this year, I would say.
Like breaking tackles, or can provide protection from wear and tear. Mental abilities enhance.
That's another thing too. So the protection from wear and tear is going to be a big one. If you're super worried about, okay, I don't know if I can handle my running back getting -5 to change direction or -6 to juke move if he's been rocked. If you have the protection to wear and tear ability, well, you're going to take less of an impact when you're taking those big hits. Field general for Quinn Ewers. This one's pretty important. He's got a lot of good abilities where you're able to read the defense, you know, have that threat detection type of thing. You can see oncoming or future blitzers, right?
It's intangible traits like leadership, pre-snap clarity at the line of scrimmage, and staying calm under pressure.
The throw meter is also awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. This is the first time we've seen this. So we have an out route here. This meter will fill up, and depending on pressure on the quarterback and, of course, his ratings, this meter will change. So it could have a huge red region. If you have a red region throw, it's going to be a bad throw. Yellow, I believe, has a chance for an inaccurate throw. But basically, this meter determines how hard the ball is thrown, the type of loft that the ball is going to be thrown with. You know, you watch football, it's about multiple level throws. The velocity actually comes from the tight window throws. Throw power is not necessarily how far you can throw it. That's factored in, of course, but that's not really the main thing. If you see why throw power actually matters, it's for throwing the ball into tight windows with little margin for error. You're able to whip the ball past defenders. That's really where throw power comes into effect in football. That's where it shines. Touch passes really have not been as big of a thing in Madden, for example, and they certainly were not in NCAA 14. Here, I will say, in a small sample size, only a few hours playing the game, this system felt really, really good. I felt like for the first time, I could really actually throw how I wanted to throw. If I wanted to just tap the button, it was a moonball. It's not like Madden, where you tap the button and it's supposed to be a touch pass or a lob pass, and it's a bullet pass every time anyway. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and this isn't a Madden hate video, but there are problems that Madden has that I feel like college football has corrected. So I think the dev team really did a great job. The further you fill, as more you get with the blue meter filling up here, the harder the throw is going to be. The flatter it's going to be really is the long and short of that. So you have a lot of flexibility with how you throw the football. And of course, for Quinn Ewers, he has a ton of accuracy in this game, and he's under absolutely no pressure. What a great block pickup there from CJ Baxter. Gotta love it. Hook 'em horns. Couldn't get one. Couldn't not say one during the trailer here. And you actually might have more catch and run opportunities.
Is maxed out, but the visiting quarterback.
Stadium Pulse is back. This was in one of the earlier NCAAs. I feel like this is a great addition. You really feel the energy of the stadium, and your players, especially younger players, they feel it. They are going to be shaky. They're going to make mistakes in big atmospheres. They're nervous. These are 18, 19, 20-year-old college kids. They are going to be nervous if they don't have some of those abilities that make them not nervous playing in huge atmospheres on the road. The crowd will get to them a little bit, right?
The mental ability, headstrong, which provides resistance to distractions. The visiting quarterback here does have headstrong active, so he can see the field more clearly and will be less prone to mistakes for this play. A player can have up to 8 abilities, and they can scale
3 mental, 5 physical,
providing
we talked about.
situational advantages throughout a game that ignite the dynamic and unpredictable moments that make college football so exciting. From Tiger Stadium to Happy Valley, we're pumping the sights and sounds of the most iconic and daunting home field environments right into your living room. And with home field advantage, the host team has the upper hand. As the visiting team, you'll face various degrees of home field advantages.
You really feel it.
Confidence and composure levels, on-field performance, and more. Home field advantage will disorient players with lower.
So this is you really have to remember what play you call. If you were on the road playing in a tough spot, Happy Valley, Penn State, tough place to play. There are a number of really, really tough places to play, right? But this is a really tough place to play, especially, at night, especially you got the whiteout game. There's a lot going on. Your players really will feel it. And not only will the routes get squiggly, but sometimes you're going to have, a question mark. You're not going to know what button you're throwing to, which that makes things really, really tough. We've seen that in Madden.
More than it will
or something really similar. But eventually the buttons do pop up, or you can guess which isn't there on your controller. But it creates a little bit more of a challenge.
So it's more important than ever to keep your team in manageable down and distance situations. With 134 FBS teams to choose from in EA Sports College Football 25, the wide range of play styles is something you can't experience anywhere else. From wide splits in Oklahoma, to the triple option at Air Force, to Michigan's dominant ground game, the playbook variety makes for unique matchups every game. Fake out your rivals with new user reverse handoffs, explore the new option game, and other new trick plays. With more teams throwing the ball all over the field, College Football 25's revamped passing mechanic adds control and
this feels really good.
Every drop back.
That's a true moonball. That's a true big-time touch pass.
Situational throws and an array of new trajectories that will provide more passing control with a timed button press. Other new gameplay mechanics will give you more control before and after the snap. Adjust the length of your primary route with custom
This is
stem.
huge. You guys, I think, are going to really like this. So there's another thing here too. So custom stems is, of course, you can change the distance on any route. As far as I know, they all seem to be customizable. So if we have number 1 here, previously was Xavier Worthy. I think one's going to be John Tay Cook now. You guys don't care about that. But you can adjust the length of the route. So if it's 1st and 20, you can get the curl route 20 yards down the field if you wanted to. If it's 1st and 3, you can make it 3 yards. You can do whatever you want. It's kind of annoying if you're out there on, 3rd and 4 and you have an 8-yard curl route down the field. That doesn't really make a ton of sense, right? Maybe you want it to be 6 yards. Maybe you want it to break literally at the 6. You can do that. You can change the distance. Everything is extremely customizable. And also, your receivers are no longer morons on audibles and hot routes. You can actually give them every route. It's no longer they can just run a slant or an out or an in or a hook, a streak. You can do posts. You can do corners. You can do whatever you want to do. Those are options in the game now, which I couldn't quite get the pause in time, but we'll go over that in the deep dive gameplay breakdown blog.
Switch players directionally with the new switch stick for post-snap
Switch stick's interesting.
Master players directionally with the new
previously, you could be locked on a player. If you want to switch to them, you'd press circle or B depending on your console, and it would switch to contextually in the game with their AI technology to the closest guy to the football, right? And that is good when the ball's in the air. However, if you see a route breaking open in your games and you're like, oh my goodness, my defender's not ready for prime time, he's not going to be able to handle that, you will flick the right stick in the direction of that player or in the direction on the field, and it will switch to the player you want depending on your accuracy there with the switch stick. But it's not like a feature. It's not like, oh, you have to be so good at it. You flick in the direction you want, it should switch to the guy you want. So if you're dropping in coverage as a linebacker, you see Colson Loveland's working up the seam, and your safety's not going to be able to make a big-time play on it. You switch to him, and maybe it's a corner route. You keep getting beat with the same play every time. You can just flick the right stick in the direction of that player, switch to them, and then you're controlling that player. You can take away a route where maybe you're getting beat consistently and you can't figure out how to defend it.
Stick for post-snap control. Master the new kicking meter and call a number of new hot routes at the line.
Yeah, so every route's in here now. You have the left stick, streak, out, in, and curl. You have the right stick for post, corner, slant, and drags. And then you have, of course, the D-pad for if you want a deep crosser, whip route, short cross, wheel, whatever's in there, whatever you want.
For more gameplay and playbooks, check out the Campus Huddle blog. Subscribe today to get the latest EA Sports College Football 25 news. To make it game day every day.
So, hopefully you guys are excited as I am. Gameplay looks fun. It feels fun. I feel like you have a ton of control. I know they always say that, right? And it never really feels to be the case. But in my small sample size playing the game, you do feel like you have quite a bit of control. I wouldn't say the juke moves are as crazy as they were in NCAA 14, but you can certainly do them. It's not like you're in the open field and you can't make a play. Gameplay, even if it doesn't look crazy fast, it feels significantly faster than Madden. It's fun to play. It's fun to play. And, we'll see, how it plays out and how we feel in, a couple weeks after the games come out. Feelings might change a little bit. But for right now, man, it feels really, really fun to play. It feels fast. You can make explosive plays happen. And the passing feels really good for the first time in a long time, in my opinion. And that's in regards to, of course, the other football video games that we've played over the past decade or so. It feels just very good. I think they did a great job. And let's go ahead and really break down some more of these things in the actual gameplay deep dive. We have a ton to go over. It's not just a 4 or 5 minute trailer here. We have a ton to go over. Okay, gameplay deep dive. You can find this in the description of that last video we watched, the trailer. And there are a lot to go over. We're going to talk about some of these. So pregame, Campus IQ is a big thing. It encompasses the overarching concept that has built gameplay to be what it is today. With that said, college gameplay was built on these 3 fundamental pillars, all 22 plus, 134 ways to play, and stories of Saturday. So These are their different big features within the Campus IQ under the Campus IQ umbrella. All 22 Plus highlights the importance of individual players and their unique abilities. It emphasizes the differentiation in talent between the best and worst players in college football. In the NFL, yes, there's a big difference between Trent Williams at left tackle and what Evan Neal's given us at right tackle. No question. But the difference between Evan Neal, skill-wise, and Trent Williams is significantly less than the best left tackle in college football and the worst left tackle in college football. So some of the abilities are really going to make that separation quite clear. Of course, the ratings do a decent job as well, but the best players in the game feel like the best players in the game. It's not like a random walk-on that is going to end up being an accountant in 3 or 4 years when his college career is over. You know, a guy that maybe struggles to make the field even at the college level, even at, you know, the bottom level of the 134 teams that are in the game. You're going to feel the difference between the top and the bottom players. You have 134 ways to play. That's how many teams there are. And as I mentioned, every team is somebody's favorite team, whether it's Alabama or Air Force or James Madison or Texas, right? So they will properly represent offensive schemes from Air Force with the triple option. You know, the military schools all run some variation of run the damn football to the air raid at USC. Lincoln Riley's going to air it out, of course. So the final pillar they have is Stories of Saturday. They seek to encapsulate the raw emotions of student athletes as they perform under intense pressure in hostile environments. A true freshman is going to respond differently compared to a senior, so they really made an emphasis and an effort to get that right. So, as I mentioned here, bringing all of these together would ultimately have us landing arguably the most important aspect of college football, which is wide open gameplay. So here, we're going to show a couple of different examples from the trailer, and they want to really just, you know, show how you have the ability to make things happen in the open field. And, you know, you see Devin Neal here. It's going to be able to leap over a linebacker. They have all new specific run styles and different archetypes in College Football 25. It should be pretty interesting. And then wear and tear. You know, it was hit on a little bit in the gameplay trailer, but every limb and body part of a player is linked with unique attributes. So they have some type of AI system that knows if you're the quarterback or any position for that matter, and you get hit from your right side up in the air, your shoulder, your arm will take the impact. And you can see, you know, this screen shows where they're taking hits, and it should also show in the game what the debuffs are. So you can see this here. Maybe you're taking a cut stick on the left side of your body. Well, your left leg could take a penalty. You can see also the foot, the chest, the midsection. The head can take impact as well. Everything in the game, as far as I'm aware, can take a hit. So, of course, how does it work? For instance, if your quarterback's throwing arm receives a significant hit, it changes if he gets regular tackled versus hit sticked versus, you know, multiple hits over the course of a game. It all matters. You'll notice a decrease in your throw power and accuracy. Similarly, damage to the legs will impact the player's change of direction and acceleration, making every movement feel slower. Each body part degrades at a different rate, and a player's toughness rating plays a critical role into how much damage is applied on a given hit. The more damaged a body part is, the higher chance of a severe injury. So you also have recovery with this feature. That's why you'd sub a player out. Players will regain health when they are not on the field, during timeouts at halftime, and between weeks. However, you need to be cautious of your player's workload. The worse a body part is damaged, the slower it recovers, meaning a player can only recover a limited amount of damage during a single game. This will encourage strategic planning and management of players to ensure optimal performance. When it comes time to management outside of the quarterback and offensive line, teams will substitute around a fatigued player or body part. So you'll see running backs, receivers, defensive linemen, corners, linebackers. All these guys kind of rotate in and out, especially, of course, on the offense side of the ball with running backs. You do not really see one running back get 99% of the carries in a given week. You'll see, you know, maybe a running back can get, you know, 25 or 30 carries, and then the second running back might get something like 8. Another running back might get 3 or 4, something like that, right? But you see a lot of guys rotate in and out. So if a player gets really banged up on a given play, expect him to sit a player or two, potentially even more, and then later in the game, they will come back and tough it out if you so choose. So you have different risks of injury depending on the hit, depending on what their wear and tear is over the course of a game. I have a feeling some people are just really not going to like this idea. Again, it'll be interesting to see how it actually plays out. I will say, if you're playing, it's probably going to be annoying. It probably will be. You want your star player on the field being able to make plays, but the reality is, especially in a dynasty, which I care about, that players get banged up, players get injured. I actually like that there's some type of representation for that in the game. Am I going to be complaining when the game is out? I can't believe my running back just got injured and I got to go to this dumb freshman who, I mean, the lights are too bright, piss running down his leg, not ready for prime time. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit frustrating, but that's the game, right? That's life. So you can see on the left side, you have wear and tear bars, and then the right side, you have fatigue. You'll see that in the game. Note the bars depleting only represent the most hurt body part. That's actually within the game. So no screenshot of that here. It's when you're on the field. And then in the depth chart, you can see a wear and tear panel on the bottom right of the player card, as well as a total. An attribute is decreasing in the spreadsheet. So it will say -8 to change the direction or whatever it is. It's just not showing in this individual screen here. In the coach vision, when you hold down left trigger and right stick, you can see the wear and tear status of the entire team. And then you have the picture-in-picture in the play call menu as well, which this will be in like the top right, for example. If your player is taking a lot of hits, it'll pop up. It'll trigger, and you'll be able to see what's actually going on without going into your depth chart. They've added a ton of wear and tear get-up animation, so if a player's really banged up, they're going to get up slow. They might be holding that body part. You know, they say Bo Jackson came up, and whenever he would go down, he would get up slowly every single time, so you'd never know. But now in the game, you'll actually see a player, if they get hit, they're just not just going to lay flat on their back, and then it cuts to an animation and they're holding something. That probably will happen, but you'll also have a guy that's healthy or that's still able to play that's going to be like, damn, my shoulder took a shot on that last play. So yeah, if you have your quarterback and you're throwing the ball 40 or 50 times a game, he might get a little bit tired, right, on the 50th throw compared to the first throw. That, of course, makes sense. That does make sense. I'm not sure if the decreases are going to be super significant to the point where you can't actually do what you want to do, right? You know, if he has 99 accuracy, it's not just going to be 70 all of a sudden, right? Or 99 throw power, it's not just going to go to 70. It's going to be less than that, but still maybe significant enough to be noticeable in some of these scenarios. The option game is a huge part of college football, of course. You know, quarterback mobility is super important, and the quarterback running game is super important. So the option game, as we know, is a big part of college football, and they targeted the real-life quarterback and running back exchange. So previously, when you were running read option or an RPO, right, the A button or X button, depending on your console, right, that would be handed off to the running back. In real life, that's not how the read works. Now, A or X is a pull or keep button. So in the exchange on read option, you no longer have to press A to hand it to the running back. That's the default thing that happens in real life. I've complained about this before. You guys know that, or you may know that. It's annoying, right? It's a little bit like, why do they have it functioning completely backwards? Well, no disrespect, but it's probably somebody coding the game that doesn't actually know football very well, and they don't know how it works. They just say this button does this, blah, blah, blah. Now in college football, 25, the default thing is the running back takes the ball, right? If you're running an RPO or a read option, okay, the ball is just in the slot already, in the running back's belly. It's held there for him to grab if he wants. Your decision now as a quarterback is to rip the football away and do whatever you want to do. You're running an RPO, you're reading a linebacker. Boom, you can pull the football away and throw to your guy, right? If you're running read option, you're reading a defensive end. You see the defensive end crashes down on the back. Boom, pull the ball, you can get up and go. So Now you actually control it the way it should be controlled, which is you make the decision when to rip the football away from the back, or don't touch anything and the running back will take the ball. That's how that works in real life. This is a nice quality of life change in my opinion. So the changes to the pull mechanics simplifies your reads while also making RPOs much more usable. I know RPOs are a problem in Madden Online. I haven't played. I don't know. I don't know how they're cheesy, but I know that they are. I don't really care much about online gameplay as much as I do playing the computer for my series, of course. But I never run RPOs. So maybe this is something I'm going to do now that I can actually run it the way I'd like to. So, of course, we'll see how this works. I don't know yet. I didn't run any RPOs. I don't think. I ran read option, but didn't run any RPOs with my time on the game. But, of course, if you want to bail from the read and run, press A. If you want to hit the receiver, you can simply press that receiver's corresponding button immediately to throw. So that's an option you can have if you're a quarterback in an RPO, right? So you can press A and run. So that's also an interesting change. As a quarterback, you're no longer locked in the throw if you've decided not to hand the ball off to the running back in the RPO. So if you're looking to keep the ball with the QB, the type of RPO dictates whether you can read or can't. So that'll be an interesting move. If you guys don't know what an alert is, it's basically like a pre-snap read, and you'll make the decision based off that read. Not going to talk about it too much just because I don't know the practical application of these in the game, but, pre-snap with the alert, in real life, you'll basically come out, maybe you call a couple different plays in the huddle, for example, right? And depending on what the defense comes out and what the look is, you can alert to something. So let's say you're running a dive, right, is the main play. But if the outside corner is playing, 10 yards off, maybe your alert is to, all right, we're going to change to a pass, and then we're going to hit a curl on the outside. I don't know how realistic that is. It's just it's an example. It might be more practical if, let's say, you're already coming out in a pass play and you have a post trying to hit up the field, but you have single high safety, probably cover 3, right? So you probably don't want to run a post against single high. It's not going to be quite as effective. So you might alert to even change the wide receiver 1 in the read. So there are a number of different things in football that can change that. Maybe they come out in a too high shell, right? And it's potentially cover 4. Now a post starts to look pretty good. Same thing against cover 2. Well, you could alert to that if you're in a different play, and then, hey, alert, we're gonna have a post here against too high. It's a possibility, but yeah, with the RPO game, as it says here, the type of RPO dictates whether you can read peek or alert glance. All the glances is just like a glance route. You're looking at probably like a tight end or a slot receiver there, an RPO, especially if it's like an inside read. But they've made adjustments to differentiate pitch strength. Now a quick tap will execute a quick pitch, while holding down L1 will result in a strong pitch. A quick tap for a swift pitch is useful in tight spots. However, it might not hit the pitch back in stride. So if you really need to get the football out, quick tap, boom. Get it out to him. You at least guarantee that you can get the ball out. However, that might limit the back's chance to actually stay on the move and catch the ball in stride, which can be important. And if you hold it down, there's ample space between you and the defender. It will take more time to get the football away. So if you're under pressure, probably not a good look. But the back will have a ton of opportunity to run after the catch, so to speak, and never break stride. So you can also fake pitch by double tapping the button. Kind of cool. A new control around when the quarterback will branch out of the option movement has been added as well. If you hold right trigger when you're a couple yards past the line of scrimmage, you'll branch into standard ball carrier movement. So that no longer it's just the quarterback. It looks weird when he's running the ball on option plays like it did in NCAA 14. Like they're thinking about a pitch 30 yards down the field. You can just make him a regular ball carrier now when you're holding right trigger. So if you're like, hey, I want to run, I don't want you to be preparing to pitch, you can do that now as a quarterback. So nice change there, of course. So if you want your quarterback to actually be able to score a touchdown and maybe not get caught or make somebody miss, now you can do that. So a lot of new animations. You have a comprehensive set of pitch animations and pitch catches and pitch out tackle animations. They've also added new AI logic for read and pitch keys, including the new read key animations. Read keys now consider more realistic context when deciding to crash or stay home. For instance, they're more likely to stay home and play the quarterback when on the wide hash marks. Conversely, when the offense is close to the first down, they'll play the dive more often. So again, if you are on a wide sideline and read option, if you're a quarterback, let's say you're on the far left hash, well, the left end might read the quarterback, read the wide side of the field when there's less space for the back to work with. If it's like inside zone on that read option, on this wide hash. So if you see here, there's not a lot of space. College hashes are much wider. There's a lot less space to operate. So the left end is going to want to read the wide side of the field because there's a lot more space for the quarterback to get to if he can get free. And of course, on, third and short, read option may be a little bit less likely because you got more space to go. When the quarterback's actually handing the ball off, there's more space to run with. He's, farther behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe makes more sense to just hand it off to the back and try to guarantee that 1 yard maybe. So pitch keys now exhibit more varied behavior with the ability to bluff when they're playing the quarterback or running back. And they've created new coach adjustments as well. Rather than a single option defense, you can now instruct your read and pitch keys separately on how to defend. So that should be a nice change as well. And then with coverage shells here, the most important thing I would say is the ability to disguise coverages and really bring back that chess match that football actually is. That's kind of what Madden is. It's a strategy game. Football is a strategy game more than a reaction time game in the actual video game. So I think they're trying to do that with more disguises. So when you're actually calling your plays, you can use the right stick while in the formation view to command your secondary in a position in a range of different looks, right? So you can show cover 0, but it's actually cover 4. So maybe your guys creep up, maybe you're manned up, but actually it's a zone defense and we're actually playing pretty conservatively as opposed to the most aggressive thing pretty much that you can do, which is a cover 0 blitz. Everyone's headed to the quarterback except for the guys explicitly in man-to-man coverage. So the excitement doesn't stop there. Before the snap, you have the option to showcase a single high or 2 high look and then break into a different look. So if you show a single high, it's of course a cover 3 look, but you can actually go to something that's 2 high, like, a 2-man under or cover 2, cover 4, cover 6. We know what the 2 high shells are, hopefully. So you, of course, can unleash your creativity with these options, just like real-life coaches. You can try to confuse opposing quarterbacks, but tread with caution. If a defensive back has low composure, there's a risk he might mess up the disguise look. He might think, we're in a cover 4 look, but maybe it's cover 3 and his responsibility changes, right? So if it's a safety and maybe he buzzes down and is showing something like we'll say some type of buzz look, right? Like a cover 3 buzz where the safety drops down. In that look, when the strong safety buzzes down, he's going to be more in like a mid-read or like one of those hook zones over the middle of the field or down. Maybe he's even got flat responsibility depending on how crazy the look is. But if his actual responsibility is not in what you're showing and he's dropping back, maybe he's like, I didn't know, coach. I thought I was supposed to be the buzz defender. I didn't know I had to drop back and have, deep third that play. So that's something that can happen. Abilities now. There are a lot of abilities, 80 abilities, and most of which completely new to the football gaming space. These are 4 of them we'll talk about, and we'll show the different tiers here, right? So field general is a mental ability. Again, you can have a max of 3 mentals and 5 physicals. Bronze, you can just identify blitzers post-snap. That's not that crazy, right? Silver can identify blitzers pre-snap. That gets a little bit more valuable. Gold, you can identify blitzers and coverage shell pre-snap, which you pretty much can do already. But if they're in a disguised look, this becomes more valuable now, right? Because now we know that if they're showing Too high, it's not necessarily cover 4, cover 2, or like man coverage, right? You can run man at a single high, but typically you're going to find it with a too high shell, and now you can know that, okay, they might be disguising something, and that's where Platinum really shines. You can identify blitzers, coverage shell, and disguise coverages pre-snap. For the Option King, this is going to be really important on your quarterback to really dominate in your option offenses if that's what you're doing. If you're going to really run with a QB, bronze is slight accuracy increase on quick pitches, and that ranges all the way up to platinum. You have the ultimate speed, accuracy increase on pitches, and wear and tear protection on option plays. Workhorse, I talked about a little bit earlier, or actually I talked about downhill. Well, I talked about both. Like Platinum has the ultimate protection from wear and tear effects when colliding with other players. They can eat some hit sticks and be fine. Downhill really emphasizes what a power back's able to do. They have the ultimate ability to break tackles after reaching 80% of max speed, and that starts out at slightly more broken tackles after reaching max speed. So if your player has 85 speed, that doesn't seem that quick, right? But if they have the Platinum downhill ability, if they reach 80% of that, wouldn't take especially long depending on their acceleration, they can really bowl you over or shed tackles with this downhill ability, even if they're running at 78 speed, right? So could be very interesting. These abilities are purely situational boosts, no guarantees. Abilities are categorized into 2 groups, physical and mental. Each of these groups is further divided into 4 tiers. We talked about that, bronze to platinum. And the most a player can have is 5 physical and 3 mental. So they're trying to increase depth and really showcase what a dominant player could look like. This ability of Grip Breaker bolsters a defender's capability to disengage from a block. At the bronze and silver tiers, the ability is only applicable during run plays. However, at the gold and platinum levels, it also applies to pass plays, with its effects significantly amplified. Another important note to make here is that the abilities a player can have is solely determined by their archetype. There's no longer you can get everything. It's archetype based. So mental abilities, on the other hand, dictated by the position and the player. So physical abilities, not everyone can do everything. A 5'8", 165-pound back is not going to be able to have downhill and dominate as a power back. That's not going to be their game. So we have here some examples, and some of these boosts. We'll zoom in here so we can actually see what we're doing. And as you can see here with Travis Hunter, he has 3 mentals. He's got gold fan favorite, so he gets more composure at home. He's got silver best friend, so QB composure gain on first down catch. Because this is interesting because he's a two-way player, right? That's him as a receiver. I was kind of thinking more of him as a corner. And then he's clear-headed, protection from composure loss. So he's going to be good at home, and he might be even better on the road. Now, his physicals here, he's got some platinum abilities. Sure hands, improved standard catches, 50-50, improved jump ball ability. He's got gold double dip. That's improved double move routes. So if you're running a sluggo, for example, or if you're running any type of stop and go, I guess, he's going to be pretty good at faking those guys out, right? Now, in order to get platinum, he would need 95 deep route running. So some of these are going to be, of course, attribute-based about when they can actually upgrade and get that. Layout, improved diving catches, and then recoup is improved fatigue recovery. Coach vision we talked about a little bit earlier with the fatigue bars here. So, of course, real-time pre-snap information designed to quickly provide you a detailed overview of these features when holding the left trigger. Wear and tear will call out the most damaged body part on a player, and then composure and confidence is a dual-sided bar. So one side is red, the other side is blue. And you can see here, a red bar suggests your player is starting to cook. They're starting to get going, right? A blue one indicates he's getting cold. So you don't want it to be blue. You want them to be playing up to their top ability, right? When Scott's starting to cook here, he means they're starting to make some plays, starting to feel pretty good. They're going to really be in the zone, right? So if a red flame icon or blue snowflake symbol appears, it signifies that your player has reached the maximum in that respective area. So they can be either super confident and composed, or not at all, and that will affect how they play. So abilities can also be highlighted. This highlights player abilities on both sides of the ball, or both sides of the ball. See on offense here, you can look by different position groups. So you have QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end. If you showed everything at the same time, it'd be a lot to focus on. So you can see your abilities versus D-line, linebacker and DB, and then, of course, I believe the bottom one is O-line. They'll also show the matchups. So while the idea of showing matchups is not new, they've reworked it, and they've reworked the formula to make this easily accessible and straightforward. The new color-coded for ease of understanding. Green, great matchup. Yellow, even. Red, you're at a bad disadvantage. This system enables you to quickly assess the situation and adjust your game plan accordingly. So it'll be a circle. It'll be green. Let's say the slot receiver has a green matchup. That might be where you want to go with the football, as opposed to your outside receiver maybe having a red matchup against the boundary corner. Home field advantage shows that winning games is incredibly tough. Winning on the road is even tougher. Love that. Every Saturday, we witness the significant impact that home field advantage plays in determining the game's outcome. And this is insanely true at the college level. The college crowds, atmospheres, and impact on college kids is far different than NFL crowds and stadiums with NFL adult athletes, right? Now, I get if you're 18, 19, you're an adult, but you're built different from a 30-year-old NFL vet. Very clearly, right? And these college atmospheres, if you go into DKR, right? Texas, for example. Hook 'em. Gotta show love. You got 100,000 plus fans, right? And rowdy college student sections. That's the thing. That they're going to get loud. They're going to be different than your typical fan going to an NFL game where the stadium maybe only holds as much as 60,000, okay? So it's a huge difference. Massive difference. And the atmospheres, the tradition, the everything is completely different. And on an 18, 19-year-old kid, that's going to be different than somebody that's 38 years old like Aaron Rodgers, right? So he probably doesn't care about the fans at this point, right? But you're making your first start as a freshman, you might be a little bit different, okay? So firstly, they aim to pay off and differentiate the top environments in college football. You'll see Stadium Pulse here. There's also a corresponding number depending on where you're playing. It'll be essentially a ranking. So the differentiation involved two core elements: audio and in-game modifiers. Modifiers are effects that disrupt your gameplay both pre and post-snap. Squiggly lines on the field, right? Play art appearing incorrectly, audibles and hot routes failing to register at high rates, or receiver icons fading in and out during a crucial moment of your game. Next, they considered the critical elements of confidence, composure, and player experience. As noted above in the confidence and composure section, they wanted to ensure that these elements were factored into how much the hostile environments impact you, both pre and post snap. So it'll be more immersive. It's going to be a problem. Here we are at Penn State. The toughness rank here, you can hardly see it, but is 2. This is about as tough as it's going to be. The screen shake, the routes, the buttons, you can't see anything. Happy Valley going crazy, and your quarterback heavily affected. And now that can change depending on his composure if he has those abilities. Alex Orji here, I think, is going to be the new Michigan starting quarterback. He's never taken a starter snap before, right? J.J. McCarthy's been the guy. Now it's going to be Orji's game. Be mature. Or don't. I don't care. Pre-play controls. This year, before each snap, you'll notice several enhancements designed to amplify the strategic gameplay. Hot routes have undergone a revamp. We talked about that. They've also added the new Bang 8 route. This is a nice change. I would probably call it a skinny post or even a glance, depending on who's running it. But if it's in the outside receiver tree, it's like a skinny post. So you have the entire route tree readily available for all quarterbacks without the need for an ability. Such a nice change. I was telling Scott, the gameplay guy, great guy, by the way. It really felt like we saw completely eye to eye, which is really, really nice. And I'm like, hey, why would we ever have to have a special ability to tell your receiver to run a post route? Now, I was not the best high school football player ever. There's a reason I'm doing videos and not playing in the league myself, right? But if you told me 1 to 9, I'm going to know which route to run. And that's at the high school level, right? So there's not a college football player that, hey, go run a post, and they're like, you got to tell me that in the huddle. I don't really know what to do now that we're hot routing to it. It doesn't make any sense. Dumb. Now you actually have it where you can run whatever you want. So really nice. And of course you can change the custom stems on that as well. And then defensively, they've added a risk factor for run commit, not as severe. If you run commit, it's not every single player in the field screams up towards the line of scrimmage. It is like a guaranteed touchdown. And we know that if the offense passes instead. Now, of course, it only affects defenders in the box. Oh my goodness, what a great change. You can run commit, maybe make your safeties a little bit more aggressive, but the corners are not necessarily going to fly up the field and totally avoid their coverage responsibilities. But for your linebackers, I like that quite a bit. And then custom stems we talked about. You can move left stick to modify the distance by a single yard. Extremely precise, or the D-pad to be in 5-yard increments, 5, 10, 15, 20. Hopefully you guys can count by 5. I struggle at times, but mostly I'm pretty good. Up to about 25, though. Things get a little bad after that. But you can see it update in real time. You're not guessing. And then you release the left stick when you have the distance, and it will confirm your setting. Revamp passing. It really feels way better than Madden. I mean, that's what I keep going to because Madden is the only alternative here. But depending on how long you hold it, and the pressure, of course, will impact this. But if you hold it all the way and you don't, fill it into the yellow or red region, you will throw a bullet pass. If you tap the button, it'll be a super lob. If you hold it down for just a little bit and release it in the middle, it'll be maybe a hybrid between a touch and a bullet pass, right? And you can totally scale that depending on how long you hold it down. So this system, it's easy. It really is easy. It feels really good. It feels like I can actually do what I want to do. It, for me, does not work in Madden. Doesn't do it. I cannot ever throw a touch pass or a lob pass. Simply no problem at all doing exactly what I wanted to do after a throw or two when playing the game. That's all it took to know the timing of a touch pass or a lob. And so if you're running a corner route, you want to lead your receiver, you still have leading, right? You can still hold the left stick in a direction and you can lead the receiver and not just put it on him. But now you have more control with the arc of the pass, right? It doesn't have to be a bullet every single time. So if you want to lead a guy, you can change the trajectory of the throw and really do whatever you want to do. So, I mean, it really, from my experience, you could really throw the receiver open. To accomplish this, they increased the variance of left stick pass lead intent. So what that means is if you hold the left stick up a little bit, it'll lead them a little bit. If you hold it down hard, they really will try to get the football out there. Apparently, it's really, really intuitive, and it can really tell the pressure that you put on it. I think this is an incredible change. So the biggest change you will feel immediately is how they have evolved the concept of throw power. I talked about this earlier. Throw power, arm talent overall is obviously strength and accuracy. But throw power isn't just can the guy throw it 60 yards in the air. It's can he zip the ball in there in a tight window. So, arm strength really does show up more in the intermediate area more than it does way down the field. Like Tua is not a bad deep passer, for example, because he gets the ball out early to make up for his lack of arm strength. And that's an example. But Tua has to throw with a ton of anticipation in the intermediate areas of the field. He can't grip it and rip it the way a guy like Matthew Stafford does, who can really just thread the needle. So, they wanted to also maintain balance. Players have been able to hold a bullet pass with little to no consequences, max throw power. However, in the new system, the distance of the throw and the quarterback's attributes and abilities will affect the accuracy of a bullet, potentially resulting in an accuracy penalty. So, down the field, you're going to want to throw more touch passes. You're not necessarily going to be able to throw an accurate bullet pass 50 yards down the field or even 40, even 30 potentially. So that's something to keep in mind. You're going to have to be more selective with your throw types. And then on the start of a pass, you notice 3 colors, blue, yellow, and red. The blue is the good region. Yellow, getting scary. Red's going to be a bad throw. The sizes of these sections depend on your quarterback's attributes, abilities, and the distance of the throw. They could also get an impact from being pressured, throwing on their back foot, or on the run. Landing in the blue increases the chances of a safe and accurate ball, which, by the way, does not guarantee it. That could be annoying, depending on your accuracy of your quarterback, but it does not guarantee an accurate throw in the blue. There's still a chance it could be bad. So I'm going to be annoyed by that, I'm sure, but we'll see. The longer you stay in the red here, the greater the penalty. Keep in mind that not all red sections are equal. Quarterbacks with weaker arms or low accuracy ratings will have larger red sections, which, like real life, if you try to push the ball down the field consistently with a quarterback with a weak arm, it's not a great move. And we've seen that a lot. And if you watched, Notre Dame football, for example, you saw that in action pretty regularly. You have new and improved mechanics that will add an engaging dimension to the game with the passing. I think it's a great change. Passing feels great. Small sample size of me playing the game, but it really did feel awesome. They've also changed the pump fake mechanic. Now when you're playing with a pass meter, the meter will appear over the receiver you're pump faking to. It's no longer necessary for receivers to execute a double move for defenders to react in that direction. They've worked on improving the defender's reaction to the pump fake in terms of like the angle they take, the duration of their reaction, and more. And they're trying to add another layer to the passing game by doing that. The switch stick we talked about. Here's the most important thing that you need to know probably. When you're using the switch stick, it's not really a huge issue. Your player's not going to randomly hit stick. Here's why. If you're lurking in pass coverage, you're not just going to randomly hit stick. You flick the right stick, and that will directionally switch you to the other coverage defenders according to the direction of your flick, the other coverage guys, right? This will allow you to play multiple levels of the field. You can be a linebacker, but also, boom, immediately switch to a safety to make a play when necessary. You can see the safety here. He's covering up the seam. He's got a deep half. Oh, hold on. We want to make him make a play on this wide open route up the seam here. You can switch, change direction, make a play. So this could make your single high safeties more valuable than ever. If you have big change direction, acceleration, speed, they might be able to take over a game. So I think that's a really, really fun change. But if you're on the D-line, we're trying to make adjustments, you can actually jump back. You press the left stick and B or circle, and you'll be able to switch directionally. So the hit stick, once the quarterback has thrown the ball or crosses the line of scrimmage, the right stick is a hit stick again. So the switch stick really comes into play in the drop back area of the field, but you can still hit stick when they go down. If they're past the line of scrimmage, you can still hit them, okay? But the switch stick is going to function really as take away different routes in the passing game. And then I won't touch too much on this, but of course you have 134 different teams, added a bunch of playbooks, 1,500 new plays, more than 50 formations, and they have 10 non-team playbooks to be a little bit more broad. And some things we're obviously familiar with: air raid, multiple pistol, power spread, option, pro style, run and shoot, spread option, and veer and shoot. Oh, we love veer. We love veer at the college level. Get me on inverted veer. Let me play the game the right way. Run the damn football. You can also customize these and save them as custom playbooks to be super customizable. I would say you can do whatever you want to do. So, starting true to the theme of player control, a brand new type of trick play will debut, the DIY reverse. In these plays, you decide, of course, do it yourself. You decide whether to hand off to your teammate using left bumper or L1, or keep the ball and run. This introduces exciting plays like the halfback direct DIY reverse, designed to keep the defense on their toes. So you no longer are necessarily locked into the reverse like you used to be. You can now choose to make it an option play and keep it if you want, or keep it as a reverse. The game action picks up with the addition of trick plays, including double pass, reverse pass, and reverse flea flicker. I've never seen a reverse flea flicker as far as I can remember. That is interesting. So it runs like a reverse, and then maybe when they cross, the middle of the field, you can flip back to the quarterback. That'll be interesting. So the defense will adapt, making these play calls a much riskier proposition. If you're running reverse flea flicker, you're pretty deep into your bag as a play caller, I gotta say. So we'll see how that works out. The new glance RPO play type has been added. I mean, surely, I think we've had glance routes in Madden, surely, on RPOs. But giving players the ability to read a safety to the side of the glance route, which is a short or skinny post. Well, really more of a short post. Not necessarily, it is skinny, but it's also not like, a post, you might run 12 yards down the field or 17 where you break from what looks to be a go route. Now, you might break 3 yards down the field. So, a little short post there on like a glance RPO type route. This year's game is filled with RPO plays. That's a lot of the college game. You watch Texas play. It's huge in the Steve Sarkisian offense. Consequently, we recognize the need to enhance the defense's abilities to counter them. In the majority of defensive alignments, defenders who are positioned away from the run action will prioritize their pass responsibilities. So, weak side of the field, for example. Additionally, defenders have been designed to be more aggressive in fending off blocks from incoming receivers. On top of that, run-fit defenders are now capable of responding to the run action more rapidly, enabling them to come downhill and make a stop. If you guys don't know what run-fits are, it's basically every single spot in the offense has a gap. Defenders will have gap responsibilities, and they will fit the run depending on alignment a lot of the time and what the offense is showing and their responsibility. So, this defender might have the C gap. He might have the B. Linebacker might fill in the A. Stuff like that. That's, I'm not going to go into the entire advanced of what run fitting is. Brett Coleman has a good video on it if you guys want to check that out. But it's basically now more intuitive in the game. And when it comes to attention to detail, they didn't stop with just that. You can see the wide formation splits that you see at Tennessee. They have stacks on the outside. It's a staple of the Josh Heupel offense. And then Oklahoma, they start quite wide there on the sideline. And they get real spread out. We also get the flex bone back. Get plays like triple option, midline, rocket toss, counter option, and zone dive. And then on the defense side of the ball, they have playbooks that are assigned to these teams like 3-2-6, 3-4, 3-4 multiple, 3-3-5, 3-3-5 tight, 4-2-5, 4-3, 4-3 multiple, and multiple that has pretty much everything. We know what this means. D-line, linebackers, DBs. 3-2-6 is going to be 3 down, 2 linebackers, 6 in the back end. And then, of course, you guys surely already know what 3-4 and 4-3 are. 3-3-5 is exactly what you think it would be then. 3 down, 3 backers, 5 DBs. Also, a big part of college football is the tempo game. A lot of teams go super up-tempo, right? So, college football is fast-paced. It's as I mentioned, fun, fast, and explosive. That's my opinion on college football 25 so far from what I've played. You have no huddle and a new turbo tempo type aiming to speed up the game. In no huddle tempo, you can rush back to the line using, of course, Y or triangle. We know about that. And then although there's no huddle, of course, you have audible to plays within your personnel group. So, of course, if you have 4 wide receivers, you can't really go jumbo and have those guys play as tight ends. But you can go probably, gun bunch to gun trips or whatever, right? Gun flex. You have different options. Meanwhile, the turbo tempo encapsulates a rapid rush to the line style of play by holding square post play or pressing it even. Think back to the blur offense days at Oregon where they're running, boom, plays over, get back to the line and snap it, right? We know about that. LaMichael James, what an era of college football. You had to have quite a lot of stamina to be able to keep up with Oregon back in the day, about 10 years ago. But you were essentially trading the ability to hot route and audible at the line of scrimmage for the advantage of the defense not being set and the defensive line being slower off the ball. Take note that in order for this to be effective, you need to snap the ball within the early stages of the play clock. So there's no, boom, hurry up to the line and then wait a long time. That will take that off. If you want it to be effective, you actually have to, boom, get up to the line, snap the damn football, no waiting around. So if you want to define this as your style of play, you can turn this setting on in your coach adjustment setting. Pressing B or circle in the post play allows you to revert any preset tempo and coach adjustments back to huddle. With these new controls, the spike function has been incorporated into the turbo tempo. Of course, that makes sense with the B button there. AI teams now exhibit distinctive identities in their tempo usage. Teams like Oklahoma, for instance, adopt an up-tempo strategy for most of the game, possibly calling for a shot play after securing a first down in certain areas of the field at a fast pace. Conversely, teams like Michigan may only resort to this move following a significant play to jumpstart the offense when losing. And possibly what I care about the most, if you can believe it, is with clock management, AI decision-making regarding timeout usage has also undergone substantial revision to more accurately mirror the strategic decision-making of real-life coaches. Both players and the AI can now initiate a spike from any alignment, conserving crucial seconds. At least in NCAA 14, even in Madden 2. The AI is dumb as hell. We'll see how it works in college football. I hope they've got it right. Haven't seen enough of these scenarios yet to know if that's going to be true. But the AI is so stupid with their clock management, and they don't call timeouts ever, really, until like the most important second. So they waste so much time. Hopefully that's no longer the case. It'll make actually playing the computer a little bit more difficult, potentially, now that they might not be brain dead. So, walk to the line is back, and officials are spotting the ball. So, you might have to wait a little bit. It's like the college game, right? It's like the NFL game even, right? Where you have to wait for the official to spot the ball before you can snap it. So, the heart-pumping moment of whether or not you'll actually be able to snap the ball in time is back. Real-time coaching is a debut feature. It's adaptive coaching. It's an engine designed to authentically enhance both offensive and defensive CPU gameplay. In the engine, coaching aggressiveness possesses unique adaptive adjustment levels. This means that different coaches will react and adapt differently to successful run or pass games, thus creating a more authentic, dynamic, and unpredictable game environment. Additionally, the AI now has access to the full range of adjustments, just like a human player would make. As a result, you can expect to see teams employ an array of adjustments such as shade techniques, inside-outside, show blitz, run commits, QB contains, and spies, to name just a few situational adjustments. The AI will also recognize and adapt to your offensive personnel. If you're dominating a team with inside zone out of 11 personnel, we know that's one back, one tight end. You'll notice CPU tweaking their defensive line, providing a different look to potentially alter your play call. If you're having significant success on the ground, you may find some teams loading the box earlier than others. Having an elite wideout might result in double teams, and now the AI is actually capable of disguising coverage, adding another layer of challenge to gameplay. Situational adjustments are another key feature of the new engine. Despite being in its first year, this engine significantly enhances pre-snap adjustment chess matches. For example, in scenarios when you're inside the 10 with man coverage, expect to see more press and inside shade technique, forcing the ball out and over the top. You don't really see a ton of press in the college game, to be honest, but it obviously would make sense. If you're inside the 10, they're not going to give you 10 yards of space. That would be brain dead. Another example of situational adjustments is when the opposition is leading by 3 scores late in the game. In this case, you'll notice them keeping the ball inside and tackling conservatively to keep the clock ticking. In conclusion, this is just the first year of the implementation of this foundational feature. The groundwork for the ultimate strategic experience has been laid, and of course, they hope to even improve it more in the future. Championships won in the trenches, could not agree more. There's more to the game than just sacking the quarterback. Great defensive linemen can dominate inside, but just by using their size and strength, like T'Vondre Sweat. And then they can create constant pressures and manipulate the pocket. Pocket push is important, more than just getting a sack on the quarterback at times, right? Or there's more to it than just sacking the quarterback. They have a new pass protection mechanic, 6 pass protection targeting schemes, 400 animations for blocking interactions, pass rush and run stopping power. The defense has seen a significant upgrade. The ability for pass rush to play more pass rush moves and more often has been increased. Counter moves are the biggest part of pass rushing, in my opinion. You cannot often just win with one move. Like if you try to speed rush, for example, you know, if you're going for a chop and the offensive lineman doesn't flash his hands, what do you do from there? Maybe you try to counter with a swim. Maybe the swim's blocked because he shades inside. And maybe you can spin outside and make a play if the quarterback's holding the ball for 7 seconds. So It's a really important thing. Hopefully that works out quite well. And they're, of course, aiming to enhance the activity in the trenches, making it more lifelike, not just like locked on blocks for 6 or 7 seconds. We'll see what that looks like. Another key focus of development was the targeting systems for the fundamental blocking schemes, such as inside and outside zones. The aim here is to increase a user's ability to predict the outcome of targeting and be confident that the defenders who need to get picked up will get targeted. Not targeting in college football like the head shots, but the offensive linemen blocking who they're supposed to be blocking. The weather plays a huge impact now. Throwing a wet football, not easy. Even handling it, not easy. You will see more fumbles, more inaccurate throws. This should really impact the game now, and that is fun to me. A wet game in the rain should not play the same as like it is on a sunny day, which should not play the same as a snow game in a blizzard. Player movement. Harsh weather conditions affect the movement of your players. It's challenging to plant and cut in these conditions. You will feel that the game's going to slow down. The passing game, considerable impact. Wobbly passes, impacted pass accuracy and throw power. Some gameplay elements affected by the weather. Increased drops and fumbles. The ball becomes more slippery, harder to hold on to. Turnovers can happen. This aspect means that players will have to be extra cautious while handling the ball and really use the cover ball mechanic to not fumble, but it's not a one-way street. Weather will also make base wrap tackles and dive tackling more challenging as well, and weather impacts special teams. You're going to feel this on kick power and accuracy, which is huge. Kicking the ball in heavy rain or snow can drastically alter its trajectory and distance, making field goals and punts a challenging task. So, things in the trailer, 1 foot sideline catch animations, very cool. You can do that by possession catching. New walk to the line animation. Now all players on each side of the ball will walk to the line following a play call. The timing of when you can snap should still feel quick, but the defense will have time to adjust a little bit, right? Defensive pursuit has been refreshed in college to represent the wide range of player abilities. In real life, to track the ball carrier in space. A player's pursuit rating is key, which maybe hasn't been so much in the past. I have great defenders with pursuit in Madden take bad angles. Hopefully that happens less. Playmaker is back, of course, right stick on pass plays. Revamped for increased responsiveness and control. And then play action. When play action is called in run situations such as a first down or less than 3 yards to the first down, the effect on run-fit defenders are now amplified. What a nice change. I might actually be able to fool a linebacker on play action. I've never seen that before. I don't know what that's like. Hopefully this actually is true, because that would be a really nice change. And then, of course, kick meter. I talked about the kick meter. Of course, you want to get in the green zone. It'll be bigger depending on your kicker's kick accuracy and the distance. It'll go back and forth. And then when you want to stop it, you hold down the button, and that'll start filling up the actual power. You don't want to get it in the red. You will have a huge penalty there. It'll be an overkick, varied outcomes as a result. Inaccuracies, a huge factor you don't want to miss. So you could get the distance you need, but at the cost of huge accuracy penalties. This year, 20 different touchdown celebrations, 4 interception, and 4 first down celebrations. Maybe more to come in the future. It's actually via like a menu. So like triangle, circle, left trigger could be a celebration that'll trigger. It won't just be automatic necessarily. You can do whatever you want to do. I think some do trigger automatically, but you can do specific ones. Let's say, there's a shush animation, right? You could press square, square, circle, or whatever it is, and that will trigger that animation on a touchdown, for example. All of these are in the Heisman, or excuse me, all of these are in the menu. You get the Heisman pose, hand to the ear, I can't hear you to the crowd. Nothing like crazy. Like, do they have the Elijah Moore dog piss celebration in the Egg Bowl that cost them the win? I don't know if they have added that. But, everything you could probably think of that you'd expect to see, the classics are in. And then victory formation, kneeing the ball. I'm not going to talk too much on that. But then that's it. That is the gameplay deep dive. I think Scott and the team did a phenomenal job. I'm super pumped for this game. We have more deep dives to come in the coming weeks until the game comes out. And, of course, it's a month and a half away. We're going to get more of these for Road to Glory, Dynasty. I can't talk about those right now, but I will when the blogs actually come out. I've got a lot to say about Dynasty, but not today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this super long breakdown, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.